Our world is filled with the achievements of human hands. Almost everywhere we look, man's remarkable skills as builder and craftsman are clearly seen. Yet perhaps even more amazing than skyscrapers and freeways are the works of the tiny spider, a creature that has performed engineering wonders since the beginning of time. Obviously, the designer of this bridge wasn't a beginner, nor were its builders able to carry out their work without special training and equipment. But the craftsman of this beautiful design was only a few weeks old as she worked alone, using only the tools and special knowledge provided by God, her creator. There are an estimated 100,000 kinds of spiders in the world, each possessing a number of fantastic skills and talents. Take, for example, the orb weaver, garden variety, web builder extraordinaire. Her delicate bridges are strung from leaf to leaf with slender ropes of silk, each almost invisible, yet stronger than steel of equal size. This special rope is manufactured from silk glands inside her body. 6 spinnerets, located at the tip of her abdomen, release 5 different kinds of liquid from 3,600 holes. She can spin at will a single strand, a heavy cable, or a broad band. Under her careful control, the silk may be elastic, sticky or non-sticky, colored or transparent. She will use it to manufacture foundation lines, guy wires, scaffolding, trapdoors, signal cords, mummy cases, baby cradles, balloons, kites, blankets, and cushions. To make her web, the spider first throws out a strong but narrow bridge. This becomes the basis for the entire structure. She then spins a series of spokes, like the wheel of a bike, that serve as a framework. Then, beginning at the hub of the spokes, she lays down a circular pattern of threads in an ever-widening spiral. Her hind legs are used both to measure off the proper distance between the silvery strands and to place them into position. Now remember, man's great structures of steel and concrete require the combined work of hundreds of engineers and many months or even years of planning. But the spider's achievements are accomplished without any previous training or blueprints from which to work. While waiting for some juicy morsel to blunder into its trap, the spider will often position itself in the center of the web. When the trap is sprung, the spider senses its victim's struggle to escape and immediately rushes out to subdue its prey, carefully packaging it up for a future meal. Now perhaps you're wondering how the spider avoids being caught in its own trap. The answer is found in the construction of the web. It's actually made of 2 kinds of silk. One type is elastic and sticky. The other, rather stiff and non-sticky. The spokes of the web, its framework, and the guy lines that support it are all made of the inelastic, non-sticky silk, while the spirals that connect the spokes are very elastic and stick to everything that touches them. As the spider goes about her work, she knows exactly where to walk. But the web is not the only example of spider engineering. Great skill is also used in the building of the egg sac, a silken ball which will protect the eggs and later the newly hatched spiderlings. First, a downy cushion is spun to cradle the precious contents. When it is large enough, egg-laying begins. The lustrous yellow cap grows hour by hour until it is filled with nearly 200 eggs. Then, Mom carefully covers them with strand after strand of silk. Having made this super nursery, insulated, waterproof, and finished with the richest silk, satin, and floss blankets, the spider has completed her life's work and soon dies. Before long, the little ones emerge from their cushioned comfort and, without being taught, will immediately begin building miniature webs of exquisite beauty. But our story of silk-spinning spiders doesn't end with the orb weaver. You see, there's this certain fat, rather ugly-looking little creature known as the bolus spider. The word bolus refers to a kind of rope used by cowboys in the country of Argentina. But long before the days of the cowboy, this little spider was making good use of a bolus all her own. The spider forms her bolus by rolling up a ball of sticky silk, which she hangs from the end of a strong, slender line. She then pulls herself up to a vantage point, catches hold of the bolus, and prepares to cast it at the first insect that comes within range. Let's dangle a tasty morsel in front of her and see what happens. A flurry of activity always follows a catch, and for a while, it's hard to tell who's winning. But the moth doesn't really stand a chance. The spider makes use of a pair of built-in hypodermic needles to put her victim to sleep. Yes, the spider is truly an amazing creature. Yet we have hardly begun to discover the many different types of skills it possesses. Each day we see doors of every purpose, shape, and size. But none of them is as remarkable as a door made long before man ever dreamed of the idea. Of course, this door isn't easy to see, but that's part of the plan. The camouflage gives real protection to the trapdoor spider. Snugly fitted into the ground, the door is lined with layer upon layer of silk, another marvel of spider architecture. The trapdoor spider is a skillful engineer that has never seen a drawing board or ruler. Yet when the need for building a home arises, excavation proceedings get underway immediately. On the south end of a northbound trapdoor spider is a pair of spinnerets. These contain tiny openings through which fluid is spun into fragile strands of silk. On the north end, a pair of strong legs function like a steam shovel, digging the dirt and placing it precisely where it is needed. The God who made this wonderful little builder provided her with all the necessary tools. When she encounters excessive dirt, the steam shovel becomes a catapult. To finish the trapdoor, its underside is surfaced with a fine silken lining. And when this job is complete, there will be a smooth coating of silk from the top of the nest to the bottom. Now, what could be more fitting after a hard day's work than a good square meal? The things that man makes every day are the result of thousands of years of learning and experimentation. But not so with the spider. She wasn't taught to make a web. No one showed her how to construct a trapdoor. No, all of her knowledge and ability is a gift from God. Now, despite a world filled with evidence to the contrary, many people still believe there is no creator, that the universe and everything in it is nothing more than an accident, that somehow it all just made itself. Yet the tiny spider pays no attention to these doubts as it works on day after day, building, designing, and in its own small and wonderful ways, revealing to anyone who will pause and look the reality and creative power of God.
We're approaching the 60-second mark. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. 55 seconds and counting. It's been a real smooth countdown. We passed the 50-second mark. All indications coming in to the control center at this time indicate we are go. We are 40 seconds away. Power transfer is complete. T-minus 35 seconds and counting. We are still go. 30 seconds and counting. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Attention! Hippity hop. At ease.
And now, for your enjoyment, the most spectacular aerial act in all of God's creation, we proudly present the bird! Ladies and gentlemen, the grand finale!
Did you ever dream of lonely pirates' coves? Of maps with skull and crossbones? A buried treasure? Treasure, they say, is where you find it. And for those who look, the whole universe is one big overflowing treasure chest. Inside the Earth, for example, is a storehouse of riches, the result of plenty of molecules, even temperature, and centuries of time. The adventurous have always been drawn, as if by a magnet, to see what there is inside. These spelunkers, or cave explorers, are not searching for gold or precious minerals, but for the gem of knowledge, to be where man has never been before, to search for the hidden, to know the unknown. Cave exploring can be very dangerous, especially for those not familiar with certain rules of safety. Always there's the chance of falling into the depths below. Careful spelunkers use the proper equipment and follow rules to prevent accidents. They check weather forecasts and, if possible, keep in contact with the surface. A heavy rain can cause an underground stream to suddenly become a raging river, cutting off all escape. In certain areas, underground rivers have cut huge caverns deep within the earth. Sometimes the erosion is so great, the caves may take years to be completely explored. The gloom that seems to accompany the darkness of the underground has never stopped the scientist in his search for knowledge. Whatever the effort, he must find what there is at the bottom. The strange figures which give such an eerie quality to limestone caves are formed through the passing centuries. Here we find the tool that God has used to fashion this beauty deep within the earth, a drop of water. As each drop hangs for a second or two, it evaporates just a little bit, leaving behind a few molecules of the minerals absorbed from the earth. As time goes by, the resulting crystals form stalactites, which hang from above, while similar action forms stalagmites on the floor of the cave. A world of beauty in the deep, dark caverns of the earth. But speaking of treasure, look at this. Oh, you probably think that I mean the hamburgers. But how about the salt, sodium chloride? One tiny grain is composed of billions upon billions of particles so small that if we put 1 million of them in a pile, we couldn't even see the pile, not even with a microscope. But if we put a drop of water on the grain of salt, warm the slide just a bit, we see something wonderful happen. Millions of the little particles are breaking away from the salt and mixing with the water as the salt grain disappears. Now, let's turn the microscope to a higher power. When the water cools, tiny little gems appear. Millions of salt molecules come together again to form microscopic crystals of such precision that science can measure no flaw in their surfaces. Table salt, treasure in the commonplace. With a microscope, the medicine cabinet can become a treasure chest, each substance having its own jewel magic. In cough syrup, you may find the chemical terpene hydrate, which produces long, slender crystals. Soothing eye drops may contain zinc acetate. Each crystalline substance forms its own characteristic crystal. Oxalic acid creates a jumble of microscopic jackstraws. Hydroquinone, a forest of shimmering needles. Frost on a window pane? No, spectacular jewels of ammonium chloride. Most crystals are microscopic in size, but there are exceptions. These crystals were found in mines in small underground pockets. Geometric precision totally beyond the efforts of man. Just think of it. Crystals built of invisible molecules. Molecules that are built of atoms. Atoms that are tiny universes. More of them in a single crystal than there are stars in all the known universes of space. No matter whether man searches up or down, he finds a wonder-working hand has gone before. The hand of God, the creator of all things. With the proper equipment, we can watch the remarkable growth of microscopic crystals under polarized light. Let's take a pinch of Trianol. Secure it with a cover slip. Heat it until it melts into a thin film of liquid. And then watch that liquid under the microscope. An individual molecule of Trianol could never be seen, so at first nothing is visible. But as the liquid cools, millions of molecules become less active and group more closely together. This rearrangement of the molecules is responsible for the liquid becoming a solid that can be seen. With some chemicals, the crystals form very slowly. With others, they form almost instantly. And they're all different because the molecules from which they form are different. This combination of microscopic crystals and polarized light opens the door to fantastic images few have ever seen before. A symphony of colors, crystalline beauty that could not have happened by accident. Whether we marvel at shining crystals or shining stars in the heavens above, God's creation is filled with treasures everywhere we look. Yet all of the wonder and beauty our eyes can see is but a faint glimmer compared to the treasure of eternal life that God has promised to anyone who will search his heart and discover the truth of these words. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life.